Hello and Namaste. In the series Great Indian Sculptures Explained, I have been speaking about sculptural masterpieces inside temples. Today, I want to talk about a masterpiece whose scale and ambition is so huge that it could not be contained within the walls of a temple. There's an ancient city in Cambodia called Angor Thom. The city itself is a mammoth sculpture. The original name of the city was Angkor Thom. Nokor is derived from the Sanskrit word Nagara and Thom is the Khmer word for great. Nokor Thom literally means a great city. In order to understand the genius of this architectural marvel, we need to go back to the Puranic story of Samudra Manthanam. Once upon a time, sage Durvasa cursed Indra and all the devas that they will lose their strength, energy, and fortune. Subsequent to this, they were invaded and defeated by the Asura king Mahabali. Devas were thrown out of heaven, and Mahabali became the ruler of all the three worlds. Devas ran to Mahavishnu for help. Mahavishnu told them that the only thing powerful enough to counter Durvasa's curse was the nectar of immortality, or Amritham in Sanskrit. If you drink Amritham, you will regain your lost strength and you will become powerful once again, said Mahavishnu. Amritham, however, was not easily available. The only way to obtain it was to churn the ocean of milk, the abode of Mahavishnu. Devas, with their diminished strength, were in no position to do it on their own. Vishnu advised them to seek the help of Asuras. Although Devas were their mortal enemies, Asuras were tempted by the lure of immortality and decided to partner with Devas in this endeavor. In spite of their combined strength, the churning of Milky Ocean was a very difficult task. Mount Mandara was uprooted and used as the churning rod, and Vasuki, a snake who resides on Shiva's neck, became the churning rope. First, Mount Mandara had to be moved to the middle of the ocean of milk. Many Devas and Asuras died during this process. Mahavishnu came to their rescue once again and transported the mountain on his Vahanam Garuda. The snake Vasuki curled himself around the mountain. Then an argument broke out between the two factions on who will hold the head of the serpent and who will hold the tail. The Asuras refused to hold the tail of the serpent because they thought it would bring them bad luck. Devas relented and held the tail, and the churning began. However, Mount Mandara was too huge and it sank to the bottom of the ocean. Once again, Mahavishnu came to their rescue. He took the form of a tortoise and supported the mountain on his back. This is the Kurmavatara, the second of the 10 avatars of Mahavishnu. Even after this, their problems did not end. The first thing that emerged from the churning of the ocean was not the nectar of immortality. It was just the opposite. What emerged was a potent poison called halahalam, which had the power to destroy the entire creation. The Devas and Asuras started fainting after inhaling the fumes of the deadly poison. This time, Lord Shiva came to their rescue. He scooped up the poison and swallowed it. Parvati was appalled by Shiva's recklessness. She ran to him and held his throat to stop the poison from spreading to the rest of his body. The poison got stuck in his throat and his neck turned blue in color. That is how Shiva gets his name, Neelakanta, God with a blue throat. After this, many amazing treasures emerged from the ocean. Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and prosperity, Kamadhenu, the wish-yielding cow, Kalpavriksha, the wish-yielding tree whose flowers never wilt, the moon, and many other precious gems and divine animals emerge. The last thing that emerged was Dhanvantri, the doctor of gods, holding a pot of Amritham in his hands. Fierce fighting broke out between the Devas and Asuras for its possession. Asuras grabbed the pot from Dhanvantri and ran away. The Devas appealed to Vishnu once again, who took the form of Mohini, a beautiful and enchanting lady. She enchants the Asuras into agreeing to her terms. She makes the Devas and Asuras to sit in two separate rows. She distributes the Amritam only to the Devas and distracts the Asuras with her beauty. Asuras come to their senses only after Mohini departs. They realize they have been deceived by the Devas and they start fighting with them. Rejuvenated by the Amritham they had just consumed, the Devas emerge victorious and exile the Asuras to Patala Loka. Indra once again becomes the king of Swarga Loka. Let us now examine Angor Thom in the light of this story. Angor Thom was built by the King Jayavarman VII. It is the largest of all Khmer cities. The city walls are surrounded by a moat filled with water. There are 4 gates in 4 cardinal directions. The roads that pass through them converge at the center point of the city. At this point, you will find the royal temple of King Jayavarman VII, called the Bayon Temple. The approach road to every entrance gate of the city is lined by an avenue of dramatic statues on both sides. These figures are holding the body of a giant 7-headed serpent. The figures on the left are Devas and those on the right are Asuras. And the snake they are holding is Vasuki. Just as in the Puranic story, the Asuras are holding the head of the snake. The moat represents the ocean of milk. The Bayon Temple at the center represents Mount Mandara. King Jayavarman's life has several parallels with the story of Indra, the king of Devas. The Khmer Empire was invaded and defeated by a powerful Champa king. The invaders pillaged the capital and destroyed the city. Few years after this invasion, Jayavarman gathered an army and ousted the invaders. He rebuilt the capital city. There were several attempts by the Champa kings to invade Khmer Empire while he was the king. He successfully repelled them all and ultimately defeated and conquered the Champa kingdom. He then built a new capital city which he called Indrapatta, the city of Indra. He imagined himself as Indra and his city a labor of love with all the warring factions united to churn its bounties. He envisioned not only prosperity, fame and wealth to emerge out of this churning, but also the nectar of immortality. He believed that this city would make him and his kingdom immortal. This is further reinforced by these giant faces of Jayavarman on the towering gopurams of Bayon Temple. Apparently, there are over 200 faces of the king carved in this temple. Bayon Temple itself is a masterpiece with beautiful sculptures of mythological figures and day-to-day life of people of that era. The most magnificent of these is the bas-relief sculpture of his conquest of Champa. You can see that he considered this his crowning achievement by the sheer size of the sculpture in the walls of the Bayon Temple. Here is the royal army marching. There are warriors riding elephants and horses, soldiers marching on foot carrying spears, and some carrying umbrellas and flags. This gives you an idea of the size of his army. This guy looked like Arjuna to me. He's holding a bow and arrow. His flag is a monkey. Arjuna's flag too had Hanuman on it. That is why he was called Kapidwaja, one with the monkey flag. In the top row, you can see a procession of horse riders. The bottom 2 rows is a procession of elephant riders. This was the navy of King Jayavarman. Notice the design on the hull of the boat. Fishes swimming in the ocean and soldiers wielding their shields and spears. Do you see a row of heads? These people are seated and rowing the ship. That is why you can only see their heads peeking out of the ship. Here is another naval crew wearing helmets and heavy armor. They are in the thick of the battle. You can see the bodies of their enemies floating in the ocean. Here is a boat full of archers and another one full of spear-wielding soldiers. Let me take you through some of the other exquisite sculptures of the Bayon Temple. The highlight of Bayon Temple are its apsaras. There are more apsaras than you can count, and each so beautiful that you tend to believe that they are heavenly beings. There are some beautiful sculptures of day-to-day life of that era. Here are a group of people bowing down to holy men. These appear to be Chinese cooks preparing a meal. It looks like Chinese cuisine was popular even in those days. This is a cockfight in progress. Here is a dog fight. This is a group of people playing a board game. A feast is being prepared. A huge animal is about to be dropped into a cooking vessel. Here you see a royal couple worshipping. This appears to be combat training in progress. Can you imagine the scale of vision and ambition to envision the entire city as one big sculptural masterpiece, every resident living within the masterpiece and experiencing it? No wonder Jayavarman thought this was his ticket to immortality. In many ways, Jayavarman seems to have achieved this goal. Angor Thom was the largest and the most enduring capital city of the Khmer Empire. This city has survived the ravages of time, survived neglect and war, and still continues to awe people who visit it. At the same time, looking at the ruins of these magnificent and majestic structures, you're struck by the irony. The many faces of the smiling Jayavarman looking down at the ruins of his crowning achievement is a grim reminder that however great your power and influence and wealth, however tall your vision, however large your ambition, all things have to succumb to time. Immortality is truly elusive indeed. That's it from me. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and press the bell icon for reminders. Please share it with your friends and like-minded people. Until next time, Namaste.